So a missile struck, an Indian missile struck Pakistan. Seems like the terrible, horrible conflict in Ukraine is continuing. Israel continuing. Things going on in Sudan, in Yemen, in Libya. And I only have one question that we're about to get into. What the F is going on? This is good for thought. Let's roll.
Good for thought.
Put up all you beautiful, amazing Nazarenes out there, and all you not Nazarenes out there. So all the shout outs and all the updates on the shadow ban, the channel, everything like that is at the end of the video. I just wanted to rant, and I am so thankful that we have this strong NazareN slash Jim Dillinger slash David Voronyuk slash Alan from Unmask the Mystery, slash Romaniya Poet slash Solivate, that we have this community where we can, sometimes come and rant, but obviously this is good for thought. So we're gonna get into some philosophy and stuff. At least I will try to. So just as the intro said and stated, that what do you know? A Indian missile hits Kashmir. And I know, people will go start screaming at me that it's an ongoing thing, between Pakistan and India. And what's so crazy, I mean, it's not crazy, right? It became normal in our world, it seems like, because we let these psychopaths, run our lives, that we have a one people, right? A one people, man. India, Pakistan, and before I continue, I must remind all of us the way. See, I'm gonna do a separate video on the mechanics of this reality and the way it has been orchestrated for us, and we're partaking in this reality. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Well, it's kind of on topic, but the point is that what I was going to say is, the puppet masters, the way they kind of are designing this reality, even though it's not the physical world, it's not the metaphysical world, it's just the reality that we are partaking in and we are cheering for, it seems, because we're not doing anything about it. But the way they designed it, in maybe someone else said this and I said this before, right? For every India there's a Pakistan, for every North Korea there's a South Korea, for every Russia there's a Ukraine, and the craziest thing is that they will take one people, man. One people. Why? Because they can give us more reasons to hate one another, because it's much easier to hate yourself. That's the good for thought for today, right? And these psychopaths that have developed and built, these centers and universities that study the sociology of society, right? They know this very well, that it's much easier for you to look in a mirror and find all the things that you hate about yourself. But what you do is you direct it at your closest one. And all of a sudden, in less than 100 years, you're not even one people anymore. In your mind, mentally, you're not even one people anymore. You're something else. You are better, or you are worse, or you have been conquered and you have been beaten up by these other people. And also, again, the way they have created this reality is they don't leave you and us any time to actually contemplate these things, because you're out there busting your ass. You're paying to live, right? Money has become, you're not making money to live. Money has become the point of life, and it's very hard to get around this, right? And it's so what I wanted to talk about, and I would encourage everyone to look at the playlist called Culture versus Civilization, because we're all, running around in our, designer clothes, and, we're driving that Tesla with the, with the big LED screen, and we're pushing the screen. We don't even have buttons no more, and the car can, pull up by itself. So we're running around and we're screaming, like, we're clapping, we're dancing, and we're like these super civilized, much better creatures and creations than, all these butt naked, balls licking, ass crack smelling animals, and especially, we're so proud of the last century. We're like, look how far we have gone, and we have all these YouTubers and all these philosophers, saying, look at how much Christianity has helped the world to be moral and be better, and it's mind blowing, because I'm asking all of you, like, how, bro? We have created the nuclear weapon. I'll let that sink in for 1 second, right? So if your argument is that in the dark ages, and we would have to really try to study if there was even a dark ages, but let's just keep to the history that we are used to, that they're pushing down our throats, that we were so barbaric, the Roman Empire, the Dark Ages in Europe, just complete barbarism, and to kill someone was like going to the bathroom, like taking a pee. Okay, fine, and I know you will argue that a murder with let's say a sword is much more unhumane way, and it's much more personal, and I understand all of that, but if we think about the sheer destruction and the sheer pain, both physical and spiritual and mental, that we are causing with modern weaponry and missiles, right? You push a button and a village, a part of a town, a city, a neighborhood is gone, and it's ruins, and it's I'll be vivid, it's people and children, and what are laying under the rubbles, and it's broken body parts or torn body parts. I even said this in one of my songs, Divine Tragedy, that there's even no need for a casket because, you know, because of the sheer horrific, you know, implications of and results of what we have created. And also there's always this argument, and I like to ask some people about this argument. Do we need does a country need a defense, right? And we can even ask ourselves, do we need countries? And these are separate arguments, right? These are like, you know, we could get into that in some other video. Do you need a defense? I mean, sure, there's a lot of, you know, crazy people out there, but my question is, if tomorrow we would decide that we are going to destroy all mass striking weaponry, excuse me, like we get rid of it, we all set on it, you know, we agree on the fact that we are destroying it, right? Who's going to attack you? With what? And again, I always like to remind everyone that mostly human beings were not thinking about building missiles and guns, and, you know, this is a very specific traceable lineage that I believe has infiltrated this place that we call home for this lifetime. We have been infiltrated. I you know, and again, because mostly and again, you have to travel, you have to speak to different Aboriginal and native peoples and all of these things to really understand that at the core, the ancient world wasn't this crazy, violent, human sacrificing place that we have been, you know, forced to believe. And there is a certain, you know, lineage, again, call them dynasties, call them Illuminatis, call them whatever you want. The fact remains that there is a small percentage, and this is extremely important, a small percentage of, you know, the population. Maybe they're not even part of the population. Again, I don't want to get into, you know, the details. This is just me ranting about how bizarre it is that, you know, we like to keep saying the 21st century. We're in the 21st century and we shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. The fact is that up to 2020, we were living in a dream for the past 30 years. Let's say since the 90s, right? We've been living in a dream. America since World War II, man. Because in 2020, finally, all the masks came down. And it's this hard-hitting reality. We are finally seeing what is actually going on. There's no more illusions. And this more scary fact is that one of these psychopaths could push a button and we're out of here. Do I think they're gonna do that? No, they're not gonna do that. They too pussy for that, man. And plus, they're you know, they're too evil and clever for all of that. They need us to keep, you know, to keep grinding away for them. You know, they like the way they, you know, they play out this reality while they sit somewhere on the sidelines and call the plays, man. You know, they like this whole shit. They like these wars and everything, you know, but it's so bizarre. I want everyone to think again that, you know, we get all hype about the 21st century, that we have this genocide in Israel, a genocide in, I like to say, the Slavic lands, it's Ukraine, and it's a clear genocide of the same people, man, right? Even the minorities, they have assimilated so much into and with the Slavs, even though they've been able to, keep their culture much more than the natives of, let's say, in the West, and especially in the Americas. But it's one people essentially. Now we have something heating up in India and Pakistan. We have something heating up in Serbia. We have, Moldova and Pridnestrovia. Again, we have so many different things going on in Africa, North Africa, South Africa. We have just Yemen and Libya again, like Afghanistan. Like there's all of these forest fires, if you will, are being lit around the world. And my only question is, how much longer? What else needs to happen for us to stand up for ourselves? And again, I need to repeat this over and over again. When I say stand up for ourselves, I'm never talking about some uprising or some protest or again, that's silly stuff. It's much simpler. Yes, it takes much more balls, but it's much more simpler than that. We just unplug from the system. Of course, this needs to happen on a mass scale, but we just unplug from the banks, unplug from the major stores, stop buying shit on Amazon. It's hard. It takes balls, but it could be done. We are the world. These cycles are not the world. And what's even more mind-blowing, the more I spend time, because again, Inaqua LLC is the media company behind, behind the NazareN, the Solivate, all these different things. So the longer I have been doing this professionally, the more I am realizing the fact that of things that I used to know, but I didn't fully realize as a fact that it's a huge theater. All these presidents, all these supposed conflicts between countries, it's all a theater, man. We're being played. We're being played like an orchestra, my brothers and sisters. That's what's crazy. So my question is, how much longer? And for someone like me that has lived, I want to talk to Westerners and especially Americans right now. Someone like me that has lived for a long time in different places in the world, I can say that the United States of America is a first of its kind of a project, right, on a social scale. Like I sat back, because I myself am an American. I grew up here, but I was born and raised in Ukraine. I lived in various places, traveled to various places, and again, you can't really appreciate what I'm about to say unless you have lived a substantial amount of time somewhere else. Right? Like, and I'm not talking about 5 years or 6. No, it has to be like 10 years plus for a person to really, start, understanding fully the language, like becoming part of the culture and the people. to understand what I'm about to say about the United States. So United States, as far as freedom goes, has been the first of its kind in the past recent human history. Yes, that level of freedom existed, and I don't, this is not an argument about the trickery and the manipulation behind this sort of a freedom. This is just me stating and comparing to other places in the world, even though we shouldn't compare countries and cultures and different like that. But as far as comparing democracy, let's say, right? As far as freedom, this is the most free that a society has been able to express themselves. And again, on such a massive superpower level. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I sat back and me being born in the Soviet Union, me remembering consciously the Soviet Union, then remembering how capitalism, came in its very early stages in Ukraine, and then coming to the most capitalistic country in the world, the United States. For many years, I sat back and I tried to analyze what has this freedom done for the human psyche as far as a social structure goes. And of course, this sort of a leisure and pastime, what I mean by that, because, a side note, I have to explain what I mean by that is because Americans get more time to relax, get more time to actually live a life, whereas in other countries, and especially in the second and third world, it's a constant grind for survival. So you don't really have the time for much imagination or creation. Now, of course, some of the best imagination and creation can come from a very deep struggle, but I'm talking on a mass scale, right? So Americans, they had, of course, you got to bust your ass, everything like that, but you have the opportunity, because there's so many ways for you to make a living. You have the opportunity to have that leisure time. So I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, what has this leisure time done for the human psyche on a social, more grand scale? And of course, it's given birth for many evil things, the evil side of human nature to take form. But it has also given birth to many great things, man, as far as art goes and expression, all wonderful things, from building planes to, making thought-provoking movies and hip-hop music. Shout out to hip-hop. I'm talking that good conscious hip-hop. It could have only been born, pop culture, man. It could have only been born somewhere where the human being, the human being has that leisure time, and also where a society has forgotten what hunger means. And this has to happen over multiple generations, because I've always said the only way you can push a people to an armed conflict is if they feel hunger or have felt hunger or remember, even on a genetic level, what hunger is. You see, when we were kids back in the Soviet Union and Ukraine, we knew the stories about World War II because we had people that lived through it, and these were our grandparents that lived right through the horrors, through the hungers, so we knew what that was like. And obviously then we went through the 90s great hunger, right? So that's why it was so easy to push, right, the new Ukraine, the new Russia, into this conflict. I'm not armed conflict as far as soldiers actually, people actually taking up arms and going to fight. I don't think it could be done in the United States, even with all the guns and everything like that. People rah all of that stuff over here. And they could probably go crazy for a couple of days. But that's it. People, you can't put. Why? Because Americans don't, even on a genetic memory, already forgot what hunger is. And again, it's a good thing, right? And it's a good thing. And but also, and again, like, think about it, if you think karmically or evolutionary or genetically, whatever, the people that got a chance to be born here, this is important, born here, right? They won some kind of a karmic lottery, let's say, or evolutionary lottery, whichever way you swing. I personally think it's a karmic lottery. And there are many bonuses, trust me, for someone that has, again, lived in the third world and traveled around to the second and the third world. Like, trust me, there are many bonuses to being born in America, to being an American, right? There are many bonuses. But what has happened is, and this is the minus to having, this American project, if you will, this American democratic project that we are partaking in, all of us. The minus also is that people become passive, right? And that's what has happened. Americans are extremely passive. No one wants to think about really what's going on in Ukraine, Russia, India, Israel, whatever. Like, you make it a trend, you put up some flags, like they'll follow it. But as far as really, diving deep and wanting to do something about it, it's on a very minuscule scale. And also, people gave up the responsibility for, for having won this karmic lottery. And so that's my call to action to Westerners and Americans for the responsibility. And this is what I want to say to all of us to wrap this up. Again, this was a rant. And I'll do a whole update video on actually what's going on in Ukraine right now. Will the conflict continue? Because it looks like it's going to continue. Looks like they're trying to fulfill their 1930 or their 1945 plan for this century. Now, I am very I'm very positive. I say heck no, hell no. I know, and I want all of y'all to know that it will be over soon, man. But this is what I wanted to say, right? To wrap this up and for all of us to think about, especially Americans to think about, that such a large country, money everywhere, man. Really, if you compare it to the rest of the world, money everywhere, man. Instead of us partaking in this, trillions of dollars spent on high-tech weaponry, ways to kill one another, instead of us starting all these conflicts all around the world, or partaking in all these conflicts all around the world, uh, keeping the arms race going, right? We can be having babies. Look at what's going on to the demographics. You know, such a huge country. We're like, what, 400 million, man? That's nothing. But the fact is that women don't want to have babies anymore. It's happening in Japan. They're having a demographic crisis. It's happening everywhere. Ukraine, Russia, it's happening everywhere. So why don't we have some more babies? Why don't we actually stand up in a smart way to this failed system that, you know, people keep thinking, people keep screaming Judeo-Christian values and all of that. They have failed. They failed. We tried it. That's it. It's done. It's failed. You know, and now they're trying to give us a new Jesus, this, you know, AI, man. It's this new son of God that they're trying to push to us. But we know who God is, right? We know who we are, man. We know we want to love, we want to be creative, we want to be expressive, we want to do something for the next generation, man. So my question is, and the point to this whole good for thought is, why don't we have more babies? Let's have babies, man. Have babies, not war, man. How about that? Anyway, I went for pretty long. I wasn't gonna go that long. So a lot has been going on with me, you know, because we took a very big hit losing Daniel, and to me it was very, very hard, mentally, spiritually, because I really, really, really love, you know, Daniel. That's my older brother, man. Like, he was one of those people that will give you faith back in humanity, man. So and of course, on top of that, everything that's going on in life, and us trying to, you know, build this company, and so my body started to act up on me, man, you know, because I already have had so many, you know, different, you know, traumas in life. So my body was like, finally, nah, man. I'm gonna sit your ass down. You know, massive headaches, that are coming from essentially from nerve damages, and all the stress, and all of that. So you know, we kind of flip-flopping this past month, but we have many, many, many wonderful things coming, many wonderful new guests, many wonderful new podcasts. The whole shadow ban thing, right? We're working on it, and also I made a huge mistake when actually doing this channel, because initially it was my artist channel for NazareN. So initially it was supposed to be a music channel, but then like all these like over 20 different shows and concepts came together, and I started mixing them all together, because again, first I was doing this channel as a hobby. Now it's professional. So it has, you know, it's we took a hit because of that, you know, because we are not only because again, it's a music channel, but it's a spiritual channel, it's a informational channel, it's a health channel, right? But because, you know, we're mixing these things, and because of the shadow ban, we've been taking hits as far as the algorithm goes, but we're working on it. We will resolve it. We will reach many, many people, and I say this to all of you, because all of you are this channel, all of you are the creators. of this channel. You know, of course, I'm talking about Romaniya Poet. Of course, I'm talking about David Voronyuk, Jim Dillinger, Allen, right? Willow Roots, Melody, everyone that's Tomek, you know, I mean, the list goes on and on. I will have to make a whole separate list. You know, Jana, shout out to Jana. Like, all of you are here, and all of you are still, you still have faith, and we're still pushing the cause, because this is what it is. Yes, this is, you know, we're a media company, and it's a professional thing, but the only way I went into this, because I didn't want to do anything else anymore, so I took the risk. Daniel took the risk and said, look, we want to do something, we want to leave something, and this is how we do it, right? And it hasn't been easy, but we're here. We got to keep going. Again, we're gonna have many more wonderful guests. I want to express my gratitude to everyone that I just mentioned. This couldn't be done without you, and we will see sunrise, man. You know, the darkest hour is always before sunrise. I love and appreciate all of you, man. Just, you know, to the bottom of my being, y'all are amazing. This was good for thought. NazareN, Soul of 8, prove to me that you're alive. Oh, my man Spencer Reese, man, he's huge help. So shout out to my brother, man. Again, much love. Go hug your loved ones. Look at the eyes of God through your loved ones. Remind them how much you love and appreciate them. Remind yourself how amazing you are. And we'll see y'all on the rebound. You know what we say. Oh, no.